Thank you. Attorney Brian Claypool joins me now. Brian, thank you for coming on. I've heard two pretty smart attorneys today give a pretty good case saying, you know what, he didn't think prosecutors made their case against Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you agree, disagree?
Hey, Trace, great to be back with you, and Happy New Year. I'm not sure I agree with that analysis. I've handled a lot of child sexual abuse cases, and I've seen these kids as victims of abuse testify as adults, Trace, in a courtroom, and that testimony is very dramatic and it's very compelling. And here's why I think the prosecution still has a chance in this case, because Maxwell did not take the stand. Sex abuse cases are usually he said, she said cases, unless you've got some corroborating evidence like text messages, maybe an email, maybe, or another witness, right? We don't have that here. Here it says she said, she said. Yep. But guess what? The she, Miss Maxwell, never took the stand. You just had your correspondent talk about these victims saying that she watched them, she watched these alleged acts taking place and actually participated. So there's no evidence, in my opinion, to contradict that.
Yeah, well, but the Bloomberg writes the following here, quoting, more than 100 women have said they were abused by Jeffrey Epstein, but only 4 of them were called by prosecutors to testify in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, his alleged right-hand woman. It's a decision that lawyers who have represented some of those other women question, being, 100 women, Brian, kind of came forward. Apparently, the prosecutors didn't like some of those stories, or they would have put them on the stand.
Well, first of all, Trace, no court would have allowed 100 women to come in and testify in the first place. But look,
about 10.
Let's face that's okay. But four is more than one, and there's power in numbers. But here's the point I'm trying to make, Trace. You are asking 12 jurors, right, to disbelieve these 4 victims. That's what you're asking them to do. And the jury's doing their job. They're going back now and looking at the testimony of the victims, and they're comparing it with FBI interviews that were given to create any inconsistency. But the end of the day, though, Maxwell, Trace, could have walked into that courtroom. I'm telling you how she could have sealed an acquittal. She could have walked into that courtroom. We all know Epstein is a monster. He's the guy. This is a unique case. She didn't do it. He did. So she could have walked into that courtroom, bonded with that jury, and said, hey, wait a minute. He manipulated me. He was a brainwasher. He was an evil man. I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know what he was up to. And I didn't have any idea what was happening here. And I guarantee you that the jury would have been receptive to that. But without that, I'm telling you, I don't think she's going to get an acquittal. The best she's going to get is a hung jury.
And it's a very good point, and we should not forget through all of this, we said it in the intro, that Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile. I got to go, Brian, but how long does the jury stay out for this? Today, tomorrow, the next day?
Yeah, I think you've got at least another day or two, and I would not be surprised, Trace, if you get a hung jury in this case.
Yeah, nor would I. Brian Claypool, good to see you as always, my friend. Thank you.
You bet. You bet, Trace. Thank you.